Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to give you a guide for current dungeon ranking events. Unlike in previous dungeon ranking, in this one we need two elements, fire and water, and there are also three fire bosses, and the final one is Blitzrad, a water boss, and you can also use either physical or magic DPS or both, and you could equip a circle sigil in case you need it, but to get a higher score ideally you want to defeat the bosses as fast as possible, skipping those sigil phases. Also, most enemies in this dungeon deal physical damage, so you might want to boost your physical defense to not take too much damage. So, a fire and water dungeon, and it means we need a DPS or 2 DPS to handle those two elements, and there are many different characters you could use. Tifa has 2 DPS weapons with those 2 elements, and she's always the top DPS as usual. Cloud is viable with his fire weapon, but his water weapon has been power crept a year ago, so unless you have no other options, it's just better to go for other characters. And Yuffie is obviously the top DPS with water if you pulled on her banner, but she's also great to deal with fire bosses. Glenn and Sanji are great water DPS, and Sephiroth is a good debuffing DPS. And Aerith, as always, is a good support with her various limited weapons, but I think Barret here is the top support in this ranking, be able to debuff both fire and water resistance with his Shark Slayer, and then you have multiple other abilities for both physical and magic teams, like debuffing physical defense or debuffing physical attack. And you could always use Nagi as elemental debuffer as well, but you'll need 2 colors for that. And you can always check the ranking leaderboard for each individual player to see what characters they are using in the teams as well. But since it's a dungeon ranking, many factors will affect your score, like max 1 hit damage will increase it, how fast you can kill the boss, but also the damage taken will lower your score. So you want to find that balance with weapons and stats, as well as choosing those right trans abilities that will benefit your team the most. And of course, AEB usage is very important, so the less AEB you spend in a dungeon, the less points are subtracted from your final score, meaning that you don't want to just spam abilities and continue to use AEB, but you just rather want to be efficient with it as much as possible. And personally, I'm using Glenn, Aerith and Sephiroth. As you know, my teams consist always either of Sephiroth or Cloud or both, and initially I tried Cloud and Sephiroth both, but Cloud's Maritime Sword has been power crept a long time ago, so he is still a good fire DPS. Water, not so much. And I also don't really have other options, so yeah, there is that. Aerith has Lawless outfit with Crimson Flare, Crimson stuff to buff magic attack, Gambantane to buff physical attack, but of course Camera would be ideal if you have it, ultimate weapon, Fire Breach and Debrave, and Cura is just a stat stick. And in sub-equipment slots, Aerith has a guild weapon with physical defense for allies, a weapon with physical attack for allies, and Daffodil with attack for allies. Glenn has Water Arcanum outfit with Leviathan, Streamax for DPS and Slay the Day for water buff, ultimate weapon and 3 physical attack stat sticks, and in sub-equipment slots Glenn has 2 water weapons with Water Ponzi and Enemy Launcher for some physical ability Ponzi. Sephiroth has Fire Mastery outfit with Hellfire, Withering Blaze for fire DPS, and after a year of hoarding weapon vouchers I used a few of them to get to B6 for some Sephiroth happiness, Tempest to debuff water resistance, Genji and 3 magic attack stat sticks, and in sub-equipment slots Sephiroth has Protector's Blade and 2 my best fire weapons. So Masamune is the first boss, so just grab the chest and let's go straight to the boss. And here, don't do anything, just wait for this. Because if you do Debrave first, then he just nullifies that debuff, and do Debrave first, because he will do a series of those physical attacks, so you want to reduce that incoming damage and start buffing and debuffing. But wait, don't do anything yet because you will buff it again. So now the final debuff, and just, at least with Glenn, it takes me 2 hits, but don't use any other EB to save it. And that should be fine. Alright, the transfer abilities, and I think the middle one is always the best. You can try different ones, but this one, at least for me, it always works out the best. And now let's go for the birds. And of course, since we have now the option to save before the encounter. Alright, first thing I do is magic attack buff and then 1 fire breach to already lower that fire resistance, so when Sephiroth hits again, it's already a little bit more damage on the boss. And I know I will get hit, that's why I do Deep Wraith on the right Raven. At least I will finish off the first one before he hits me. I don't know, maybe if I had OB10 Sephiroth, maybe, but I don't think so. But yeah, same thing. And also Genji, for that max 1 hit damage, it's just tiny bits score increase. I don't think it really does a lot. But also here, if you want, like me, you can switch to defense on those hits. You know, it's just tiny, minuscule damage. The score changes, nothing more. Alright, on the trans abilities. And if you have physical DPS in your team, always go with the right one. And now let's take care of some ads, but of course save it, so you don't have to repeat the battle if something goes wrong. Alright, I won't use Sephiroth at all. I only use Aerith to get her limit gauge a little bit closer to full, so her Crimson Flare is ready for the frog, but just kill those Swim Sylvans with Glenn with your water DPS. And also, as usual, you can switch to defense on those normal attacks that they have. It's up to you. Alright, now let's go for the eggs. And as always, save. And same thing, buff magic attack and then start debuffing that water resistance. But also with magic DPS here, it hurts you a little bit because they debuff your magic attack. So I will get hit nonetheless, I know that because I don't have the DPS to finish off the boss immediately here. But with physical DPS you can do it. Alright, a few more. And this will be the last. Alright, and the trans abilities. And unless you have Magic Team, Tifa, then of course use this one, but I'm using Glenn, so obviously this. And here the last boss, but also save. And Gallonbaloir debrake twice to debuff that attack and also debuff it. It's a short window of time, but just press it quickly and then switch to defense, and now I'm going to just start debuffing the bosses. Then Sahagin, of course, because you need to kill both, at least the Sahagin prince, before he does the jump. And last one, maybe. Alright, the bolt bomb is coming. I don't want to get hit by that. Alright, just the Sahagin prince. Oh, sorry, Gallonbaloir. So that's fine. With Aerith, just Crimson Staff twice to debuff that magic defense and then just finish off the boss. I think 2 hits? Yeah, 2 hits. Right, last set of trance abilities, and I would go with the right one. Because here, we're upon 70%, so at least it'll be 90% and a little bit more single target, so I think it'll benefit the most. Alright, and here, do everything you can to kill that Tripapolis as quickly as you can before he does the Dance of Despair. Don't get hit by it because it will take a lot of your HP. Alright, let's go for the last chest. And then the characters. Don't forget about them because after each random encounter you get an item, and if you miss it, it will lower your final score. But of course, save it. Oh, come on. Alright, and same thing. Just try to kill those characters with as little EB spent as you can. And also don't worry about those charge attacks, they don't really do much damage to you. Alright, that should be fine. And here with the last one, try to save as much AB on your AB gauge as possible so you don't run out of AB for the final boss. And maybe, I think that should be 2 hits, yeah. And the last one, because I'd rather have Glenn with full AB, because he will be the main DPS. Alright, last item, and let's go for the final boss. But of course, save before that, and I think that save feature is amazing and definitely use after every encounter. Alright, same thing, buff physical attack, wear resistance, debuff, and then try to do as much damage as you can. And I have to squeeze it in very quickly with that jubilation again, and hopefully... Oh, I was already pressing Leviathan because that was very close. Well, That's unfortunate. I was saving the Leviathan for the whole dungeon to not be able to use it, but it still should be a good score. Because Leviathan, it doesn't really do much more damage than Glenn's Sea ability. Oh, actually, it's a tiny improvement, so that's actually very nice, because I had 2,240, I think, but yeah, that's it. EX stage is a little bit harder, and yes, you could use items, but they cost a lot more, so it's all about balancing. But yeah, I hope you found my guide helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.